Tighten up your business harness, folks. It's time for the Badcast Newscast.
Welcome to the Badcast Newscast, everybody. This is Reklis here. We got Kenny and Tim. We're super excited to be with you for another episode. Kenny, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Anybody who, I guess celebrates is the wrong word, but observes Lent, here's a good burn for you. If you're talking to somebody about it, say, I didn't know that you were giving up looking good for Lent.
Damn. Ouch. Burn.
Ooh, good one, Kenny. I don't know when this episode's coming out, so that might be a little dated by the time it comes out, but Lent's
Lent
forever
just
long,
started
so whatever.
a few days ago.
Yeah, it'll come out within 40 days.
It'll be before it's over, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about road trips and taking road trips, what we like about it, what we don't like about it, how long we've been on road trips, what different things are about it, what food you eat on a road trip. We've missed taking road trips. We're all in the middle of this pandemic. We can't do things the way we used to do it. Can't go to the same destinations the same way we want to. I want to just kick this off with what is the furthest road trip you've been on, Kenny? The furthest distance you've gone on one trip. It could be multi-day, but like the furthest distance traveled in one trip, all by car. Not like you drove somewhere and then flew somewhere and then came back or anything like that.
Probably one of the several ski trips that I took with my church youth group. We went
to West Virginia or something?
To West Virginia or Pennsylvania, 9-10 hour car rides.
Headed from Greenville, where you grew up.
Now, what we're talking about, if we're talking about actually longest, probably the real longest one was the one where we went to West Virginia and our van kept breaking down. So it did take us like 13 or 14 hours to get there.
Yeah.
But that happened pretty much every single trip that we took with that church van.
Yeah.
That thing was, I have no idea how we actually got it to like work normally, because it broke down, I think, from like 1997 to like 2000 or 1999 at least. I think it broke down every single time we drove it for more than 2 hours at a stretch.
Oof, that's a lot.
Tim, spent a lot of time on the side of the road when I was in high school.
Tim, what's the longest road trip you've been on?
I was just trying to find the town or the place or whatever. It was to the northernmost city in Maine.
You drove from North Carolina to northern Maine?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was for some friends and I wanted to go check out this fish concert that was up there. This was back in like 2004.
Wow.
And I wasn't, I'm not like a huge fish fan, but it just sounded fun and cool road trip. And it was, well, we stopped in like New York City to visit a friend. And then we stopped at my sister's place in Boston to hang out with her for a day, and then kept on going. And then afterwards went for driving around New Brunswick, I believe, and just checking out Canada, going over the border there. And then we camped at Deer Island, this place, like it's coming back from Canada. There's an island, Deer Island, before you get to back to Maine, and camped out there. I think out of necessity, because we missed the ferry going back to the States. But along the way, there was the largest whirlpool in the Eastern Hemisphere, I think. Western Hemisphere. We're in the Western.
That might depend on your perspective, right?
No.
Which hemisphere are we in?
Well, I mean, the globe, really, like it kind of depends on where you decide to draw, how you decide that east.
That's
North
true,
and South
but I think
actually has it.
Yeah, we're the West.
We're considered the West.
Yeah. The largest whirlpool in the Western Hemisphere which is interesting because I wonder what the largest whirlpool I guess it assumes that the largest
The largest in the world.
yeah, the largest whirlpool in the world is in the Eastern Hemisphere. I would make that deduction.
Yes.
So anyway, yeah, and then made it
Brilliant.
back.
Either that or this whirlpool you went to has terrible marketing and they forgot to say also in the world.
There's not a bigger one in the Eastern Hemisphere, but we don't expect you to actually go there. So
yeah. So yeah, and then came back after that. That was the longest road trip that I've been on.
I'm glad that you clarified that you came back because otherwise that's called moving.
I do have a friend from Maine who lives in North Carolina.
Technically it is
or becoming a nomad
road trip.
Right.
Or a one-way road trip.
Okay, yeah, that's true. I guess you can have a one-way road trip when you move. The longest trip I've been on, Stephanie and I, this was, I guess, 2.5 summers ago, or 2.5 years ago in the summer. My sister was staying in Colorado with her family for like 2 months at a house. So we drove from Carborough, North Carolina, where we live, to Colorado, basically north of Denver, so into Boulder. So that was, we stayed in Memphis one night and we stayed in Oklahoma City. I think that's it. I think we did it in 3 days. Yeah. And
the Triangle to Memphis is a long drive too, in and of itself.
Yeah, Memphis was 9 or 10 hours, I think. We made pretty good time all of our days. But yeah, it was fun. The longest day we did was we left Boulder and went all the way to St. Louis, which took us with stops and stuff 15 hours.
Yep.
Which that's a long time. That's a long time. Like, I mean, it's like 2 full work days of just moving on the highway.
Did you stop for like in a hotel or anything, or?
No, I mean, so we did a 1 15-hour day. Like,
yeah.
Just stop for like bathroom and food breaks.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I mean, we took some longer breaks.
Some legs, yeah.
Right. Like we did like yoga in a park kind of thing to like feel better and stuff. So, but that day was definitely the day where I was like, we might have planned this wrong. We maybe needed one more day on this trip and stop in Kansas City or something.
Yeah.
It was a long, long day, but it was fun.
We have a place up in the mountains in New York, and we used to stay there during the summer every year.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was like the road warrior, so like there's all kinds of nice things in between here and upstate New York, and so my mom always like wanted to stop and like check those things out, but like my dad was just like the road warrior who was just like, okay, that's the place. We're just going. We're not stopping.
Gotta make good time.
No bathroom breaks. Yeah, we're gonna start the timer now. We're gonna reset the mileage. Yeah,
I definitely have that instinct, and Stephanie is definitely not like that. I am trying to be better about it because I don't think it's healthy. Like, especially like on a trip where it's like, well, you're gonna be in the car for 9 hours. You could probably make it more enjoyable and make it 10 hours, but have more fun along the way if you stop a couple places and like enjoy yourself for a half an hour. Like, but I definitely get into just like, no, the task at hand is getting to that next location. And so nothing else can happen. Like, and I want hours, like if we stop more than every 3 hours, more frequently than that, like something is going wrong. Like kind of thing. That's definitely the mentality in it. But I'm trying to live in the present, be more peaceful, and just like accept that the trip is part of the fun. Let's do it.
Because I definitely like learned those kind of things from my dad, like growing up and seeing it. Like, oh, this is how you do a road trip. You just like go. You don't stop for the bathroom on a 14-hour trip.
Bring a bucket.
I think like also planning that into your trip to like, okay, we're going on this long trip and let's do like a couple other extra things on the way. So like in the mind before even planning, like before like even going, it's like, okay, it's going to take, instead of 3 hours, it's going to be 5 hours because we're going to go and like mill around and check out this little thing. And like, that's going to be part of the trip.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That changes my mentality like completely. It's like, oh no, we got to go to that place and enjoy ourselves there. Like that's what's on the agenda today.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If somebody's like, oh, hey, like, let's go check this out along the way. And like nobody mentioned it before. And it's like, yeah, where are you? Like, what vacation did you come on?
Right. Yeah.
I'll drop you off there. We'll pick you up on the way back.
Right. Awesome. So we're talking about long road trips here. I'm curious, what do you guys think is the minimum time of a trip to make a road trip as opposed to just a long drive?
That's a very good question.
Like going to Greensboro from here is like a 45-minute, 1 hour drive. In my mind, is clearly not a road trip. Like,
yeah, like
agreed. Yep.
You're just going to Greensboro.
Yeah.
When
like,
do we cross into road trip territory?
What happens before somebody yells road trip? What must happen before that?
Yeah, or that it would be appropriate at least for someone to yell that.
Right. Yeah.
That is a very good question, and I'm probably gonna have to say driving time of greater than 6 hours at the bare minimum. Maybe even longer than that. That might.
Are you counting round trip for that?
No, one way.
I'm going to disagree with you here.
What do you think?
So I think a day trip. You can have a day trip road trip that is like anything over 2 hours one way, which adds up to over 4 hours cumulative. Could be a road trip. So if you drive to the mountains, so you can get to Boone in like 2.5-ish hours from here. I would consider that a road trip if you drove to Boone, spent the day there, and drove back. But maybe I'm incorrect. Tim, what are your thoughts here?
So I'm gonna take it one further, and refute the first statement, which was that going to Greensboro and back here to Carborough would not be a road trip.
Really?
And say that context matters. So like,
and just because you yelled road trip does not make it one.
Well, okay, but think about this. All right, so say you wanted a donut. Okay, so like there's like Brits Donuts, right? Like in Carolina Beach, which is great. And let's say that, for argument's sake, that Brits Donuts was in Greensboro.
See where you're headed with this.
And you woke up Sunday morning with like no plans, and you were just like, I really could go for a Brits Donut right now.
It's like the difference between
like that would be a road trip. Like going for a donut,
right?
And coming back for like an hour is, I think,
the activity to driving ratio. So like if you're going to the beach, you're going to go for 4 or 5 hours to the beach. So it needs to be, if it was a half-hour drive to the beach and you spent all day at the beach and drove back a half hour, not a road trip. You went to the beach and it was all day you were there. Yeah. But if the activity is tiny, but you put in extra time for it, you get there.
Yeah, like some kind of ratio.
And you could get a different donut in 5 minutes at the Dunkin' Donuts or whatever. Like you could, but you're like, no, I need the right donut. And so I'm willing to drive an hour for it and an hour back. I'm willing to get into this. I'm entertaining that is road trip territory.
Yeah, next time I'll come back with a
mini or micro road trip.
Yeah, I think there's like a time to activity ratio that I think that we can scientifically like define it.
Okay.
All right, that's probably fair, but it has to be
next time with that for you.
I still think Greensboro is too close even for that. It's even if you drive to Greensboro, stay for 2 minutes and then drive back. Even that would probably satisfy the ratio, but that's still not far enough, I don't think.
There is definitely a big difference in getting into, okay, we need to make sure there's some food in the car or some drink in the car, something in that territory. That
I would say
it becomes like, whereas like if you're going to buy a donut, you're not like making sure you have
you actually have convinced me, like say, which I didn't actually do because we had a newborn at the time. Sorry, Reklis. Driving up to the mountains just to go to a wedding and then coming back. So like 3 hours there, go to a wedding, 3 hours back. Okay, I might call that a road trip.
Well, and that's 6 hours in a day, which I think is where you kind of get into you're really
Yeah.
getting somewhere. I
For
definitely think of day trips to the beach or the mountains as small road trips.
Small road trip. Okay.
So if you can only pick one, are you picking music or podcasts?
Ooh.
I'll start off and I'll say podcast because I think it really occupies the mind in a different way and kind of like helps you get through. But that's my opinion. Kenny?
Podcast or radio. I think if like for my like when I would go with my church group where we would have like 15 people in a van, music's probably better because you're gonna have a lot of conversation. But if you got a small group, 4 or less, then like an audiobook or radio or podcast or something.
Yeah, I would say podcast because music you can always listen to on your own time, and if you're looking to pass the time with whether it's one other person or a group of other people, like you can probably find something entertaining that everybody can enjoy. Because maybe not always like because there's always a conflict with music when that like I'm driving so I get to pick the music or no I'm the navigator so I get to pick the
I have the best taste, I get to pick the music.
So podcasts, like usually if you find something funny and like with a little bit of insight or something like that, then I think like that could be enjoyed by everybody.
What's the longest trip you've done just by yourself, no other people in the car, trip you've done yourself? I'll kick it off here. I've driven to Ocracoke, not Ocracoke and back, but Ocracoke in one day and then back on another day, which is about 6 hours, including the ferry ride in the car.
South Bend, Indiana.
Ooh, wow. From the Triangle, North Carolina?
Yeah, or...
He was going to Pete Buttigieg's house.
But it was really tough. Like the mountains, because I was driving a Ryder truck. Like we had basically a refrigerator box that we had to deliver to a fuel testing plant, Honeywell, and had to drive up the mountains in a Ryder truck, which is like, tops 60, 70 miles an hour, and going up mountains, like with my foot all the way to the metal, was like 45 miles an hour on the highway. So that was difficult.
Yeah. All right, Kenny, you?
When my now wife, then girlfriend, I think the first summer after we met, I went to go visit her. So I drove from my mom's house to her parents' house, which was 4 hours one way. And then I drove 4 hours on the way back and got a extremely steep speeding ticket because I was very ready to be done driving. Because I think I might have only stayed one day. I don't think I stayed, maybe 2 days, but I didn't stay that long. I wasn't there for very long.
Yeah. I got a speeding ticket on that trip to Ocracoke. All right. I want one more question before we wrap up. And this is actually the question that Tim brought up that kind of, I think, spurred on the road tripping idea. So it's about a snack that you would never eat anytime, but when you're in a car for a long time, and it's like your road tripping snack, you're in the gas station, and you're like, oh my God, I have to eat that. Describe like your favorite road tripping snack?
Dude, this was like all my preparation for this entire episode. It was like just road trip snacks. Like,
okay,
I thought that's all we were going to talk about the whole time. So,
all right, Tim, I'm excited about this. We're going to do a whole nother episode.
We'll do another episode.
I want to hear this whole list. This is going to be the next episode. Cool. Kenny, what's your favorite?
I don't know if it's my favorite, but I really barely buy chewing gum, but Wrigley's spearmint gum, because it's a good way to get that nervous energy moving. Spearmint,
totally underrated flavor. I think it's the best mint flavor.
I agree. All right. Yes, I agree. Reklis, what's yours?
For me, I love a like gas station size bag of cheddar jalapeno Cheetos. Nice. So this is like probably on the bag it would say it's like 15 servings. For me, it's a serving on the way up and a serving on the way down. Maybe I probably need to get another bag on the way back down, kind of thing. And I love them. There's something I like. It's a little spicy, but I see the bag and I'm just like, yep, there it is. Grab that. Grab a soda. Get in the car. Like, let's go. I'm doing it.
Nice.
I love that. I have to give a mention to Stephanie makes a Chex Mix. It's like a family recipe Chex Mix. that the first time we ever really hung out for any extended period was on a road trip, and she brought that, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And so that's a pretty regular
Never need to
road trip
stop
thing.
at a gas station again.
Right, there's a little bit of that.
Nice.
Not even to pee.
Right, yeah, because it's all salt you're putting in.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap up here, and we're going to rejoin this conversation with Tim next episode because he's got a good list, I think. So that's going to be great. This is a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks so much, and enjoy your next road trip.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Thanks.
Hello?
Bad news. Media.